You already heard Terelle Pryor has been ruled eligible for the 2011 Supplemental Draft, but has to serve a 5-game suspension at the beginning of the season. For the first 5 weeks, he won't be able to practice or play after the preseason. The NFL really dropped the ball on this one. This is a horrible decision by Roger Goodell and whoever else was in the decision-making process of this. It's either you rule him ineligible for the season, for the season, or you don't rule him eligible for this season. He has to refile for the 2012 NFL Draft. Everybody, if you don't know the story about Terelle Pryor, him and a couple of teammates were in a scandal involved where they would sign memorabilia for cash and received other improper benefits while attending Ohio State University. Some of his, all of the guys actually are still at the university except for Terelle Pryor. They were supposed to be served a 5-game suspension at the start of the season. They missed the first 5 games of the season along with Jim Tressel. Jim Tressel resigns from Ohio State. So does that mean Jim Tressel resigns from Ohio State? So Terelle Pryor decides that he is going to leave Ohio State as well, and he's going to hire an agent. The NFL says, the statement that the NFL brought out says, Pryor made decisions that undermined the integrity for the NFL draft. These actions include failing to cooperate with the NCAA, which what does the NCAA have to do with the NFL in making any suspensions or rulings, and hiring an agent. Now, if nobody doesn't know the process of getting into the supplemental draft, here it is. They have a deadline for anybody who wants to be eligible for the regular draft that happens in April. That is late January. If you're not eligible for, if you do not file the deadline at late January, you are deemed ineligible for the regular draft in April. Then you can file again for the supplemental draft that happens in July or August. Also, if you're ruled athletically or disciplinary reasons that affect your eligibility in school, Terelle Pryor. So once Terelle Pryor decided to leave school, he signed with Drew Rosenhaus. Doesn't deem that he needs to be suspended. Failing to cooperate with the NCAA. If he was still in Ohio State, yeah, that's deemed a suspension, but he's in the NFL. He's following a process for the NFL right now. So where he followed the guidelines and the process to a T to enter the NFL supplemental draft. You have guys like Caleb King, who was ruled academically ineligible for this season for college football for Georgia. He's eligible for the supplemental draft. He entered the supplemental draft. Chris Carter, years ago, Hall of Fame receiver, signed with an agent. He was ruled eligible for the supplemental draft. So what's the difference with Terelle Pryor? How is he eligible but has to serve a suspension? My feelings on it is, if you're going to suspend Terelle Pryor, there's other people that need to be suspended. Not saying that these guys are going to be or should be suspended, but following the NFL's the way the NFL is ruling on this, Reggie Bush should be suspended for a whole season. He didn't lose any. He didn't feel no effects from the USC ruling that they got from the NCAA, except for losing a Heisman Trophy. But everybody's gonna know he won that Heisman Trophy. Whenever the NCAA rules on Auburn and the Cam Newton situation, so should Cam Newton be suspended for however long? Should he be suspended for a season as well? What about the guys that are in this Miami scandal from 2002 to 2008? Should they be suspended whenever the ruling comes down from the NCAA? Since the NFL is doing the NCAA's dirty work and giving Terelle Pryor a 5-game suspension that he was supposed to serve at Ohio State, which he didn't want to serve, so he decided to enter the NFL supplemental draft. So I feel that if you're going to suspend Terelle Pryor for 5 games, Reggie Bush, the guys from Miami, and whatever happens with Cam Newton, they all should be suspended. But they're not going to suspend them. So why does Terelle Pryor have to suffer from him being suspended from Ohio State, and he was going to probably be, quote unquote, he was going to be ineligible for receiving proper benefits because he went to the NCAA and told them more which would have made him ineligible for this season, which then he would be eligible for the supplemental draft with no suspension. So my thing is the NFL and the NCAA, what do they have to do with making decisions on suspensions or not? They have one decision that's already made that the NFL affects the NCAA on, and that's entering the draft rules, which is you have to have 3 years of college experience, 3 years being at a school or any academic institution to be eligible. You have to be on campus or be at a school or be at any amount of schools for 3 years to be eligible, which Terelle Pryor is, because he would be a senior coming into this year, and he served and he played for 3 years eligible under Ohio State. So he shouldn't be suspended. But you're going to give him a 5-game suspension because, well, he was going to be suspended 5 games anyway. Since when has the NFL ever worked like that? Then that means other guys should be suspended for rulings that affected their schools later on down the line. But that's my feelings on the situation. Also, I agree. It's kind of like somebody who goes to jail for 5 years for a 5-year sentence. Are you going, say if he dies 1 year into the sentence, are you going to get one of his family members to go replace him, or somebody that was in the crime and help him replace him and tell him you have to serve the last 4 years that your family member couldn't? No, you're not going to do that. You don't do that. So what gives the NFL the right to suspend Terelle Pryor for 5 weeks if what his decision had to do with NCAA? Now, there's already been talk that the NCAA and NFL are in bed with each other, going back to the Mike Williams situation and the Maurice Clarett situation. So, is the NFL making decisions for the NCAA now, and vice versa? Let me know what you guys think about it. Thanks for watching these videos. Support. I've been loving the support and the feedback I've been getting from it. Subscribe at the top. Leave your comments below. Let's see where we can take this conversation. Also, want to congratulate Terelle Pryor as well on living out his dream and achieving his dream of becoming an NFL player and an NFL quarterback in this league. Congratulations to you, and good luck.